Okay guys, let's get started on our tasks for today. So you have a task A and a task B. Task A has a part A, a part B, and a part C. The part A, I think you guys can probably do by yourselves, and I think C you can probably do by yourselves. So we're just gonna do part B together. And I want you to use part B to help you with the other ones. But for today, we're really looking at the phrase times as many. And if you think about the word times, think about it like your multiplication tables. So those are called your times tables. Times means multiply. So when you're saying times as many, you're asking for a multiplication equation. So we're gonna look at problems involving multiplication today. Okay, so task A, part A, you guys are gonna do this one by yourselves, but I'm gonna read it out loud to you just so you can listen to it being read, and that might help you with your visualizing. So it says, Helen raised $12 for the food bank last year, and she raised 6 times as much money this year. How much money did she raise this year? Write an equation and use a model to determine the amount of money. All right, we're gonna go to the next one, B, and do that one together. All right, so the first step in this problem is we're gonna visualize. This problem is about 2 girls who are raising money for the PTA. The PTA is a parent-teacher organization. It's kind of like a club for parents and teachers. So here we go. Sandra raised $15 for the PTA, and Nita raised $45. How many times as much money did Nita raise as compared to Sandra? Write an equation to use a model and use a model to determine the amount of money. So you're just visualizing. So we know that this problem is about 2 girls raising money. And we know that Sandra raised more money than Nita. Okay, go ahead and pause this video and just talk to yourself about what this problem is about. Okay, now I'm gonna read it again, and we're gonna underline and circle quantities and units. It says, Sandra raised $15 for the PTA. The quantity in the unit is actually all together there because it's 15 and the unit is dollars. Nita raised $45. How many times as much money did Nita raise as compared to Sandra? Write an equation and use a model to determine the amount of money. So the way that this is worded is a little confusing, but we're just gonna focus on the quantities and units. Let's record those. So in the read section, we know that Sandra raised $15 and Nita raised $45. So let's read it again, and this time we're going to pay special attention to that question. So it says Sandra raised $15 for the PTA and Nita raised $45. So we already know that Nita raised more money than Sandra. How many times as much money did Nita raise as compared to Sandra? Write an equation and use a model to determine the amount of money. So this word times as many means multiply. So we're comparing Sandra and Nita using a multiplication equation. So if you think about it, it's asking, what do we multiply times 15 times Sandra's value to get Nita's? So if we were going to draw a picture for this, I did a draw here. We know that Sandra, this is Sandra, had 15. How many groups of 15 does it take to get 45, which is Nita's? So your equation that you're writing is 15 times blank equals 45. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this. You can skip count by 15s. You could think about the missing factor. What times 15 gives you 45? So you could test out different numbers here. You could estimate, or you could divide. You could do 45 divided by 15 equals what? So the rest of this I want you to solve on your own, but remember, you can always skip count by 15s. Use repeated addition. See how many times you have to add 15 to get 45. So use one of those strategies to find the answer. Okay, task B. I'm going to get you guys started on task B because it's a lot of information. So we're going to do the 3 reads. I'm going to read it the first time. I want you to visualize. The second time, we're going to record quantities and units, but they already have information here, a place for us to record. So I'm going to help you guys record this information, and then you're going to solve on your own. Okay. It says, Bailey is shopping for folders, notebooks, and pencils for the first day of school. A notebook costs 4 times as much as a folder. A notebook costs 2 times as much as a set of pencils. Each folder costs $2. Determine the total cost for one folder, notebook, and a set of pencils. So if we're visualizing, you're just imagining that this girl, Bailey, is going out and she's buying some school supplies. She's buying a folder, a notebook, and a set of pencils. And it gives us clues about the cost of each one. So we're going to think about this like we're detectives, and we're trying to take these clues to figure out how much each one of these costs. So let's record each clue next to each item. All right, so let's read it again. Bailey is shopping for folders, notebooks, and pencils for the first day of school. A notebook costs 4 times as much as a folder. Here's the first clue. A notebook costs 4 times as much as a folder. So notebook equals 4 times folder.